Okay, so let's talk about holidays in Germany. There weren't many that I, as a missionary, got to experience because that's not why I was there. I was there to do missionary work and to learn the language and to love the people and to do the Lord's work. So, but there are a couple really big holidays over there. One of them is Carnival, which I guess you could say is kind of their Halloween, but not really, because Carnival is more for like adults. And we didn't have a big issue with that because we were in the northern part. I think it's a lot bigger in the southern part of Germany, but we weren't allowed to experience anything like that. Our mission president suggested that it wasn't the right place for a missionary to be, and he was probably right, because Germans do love their beer, and when there is an excuse to celebrate and to get drunk, they take advantage of it. And so it's just not a good place to be. So I know down south they usually had curfews where they had to be in by into their apartment by 5 or 6 p.m. And then they had to stay in. A lot of holidays in Germany involve parades. They love parades. They love marching and dressing up and getting involved in things like that on certain holidays. So Carnival usually has a parade. There's also, I don't remember the name of it, but it was when I was in Bremen, so it was getting closer to the fall time, autumn. And it had something to do with lanterns, and little kids at school would make these little paper lanterns, and they would march around the neighborhood, and so you would just see these little lanterns bobbing around down the street. I forget what that one was called, but that one was really cute. And then there's also Sylvester, which is their New Year's, and it involves a lot of fireworks. I was in Kiel during Sylvester, and we were on a ground floor apartment, and all of our neighbors, so our street was pretty much just like a one-way dead-end street, so I guess it really wasn't one way, but there were cars parked on either side of the road, and so it was just a really narrow place that you could drive down, and there were apartment buildings on either side of the street, and so our neighbors from all around us were setting off fireworks all night long. And so my companion and I, at the time, we were watching their celebrations from our front window. Sylvester was another one where we were asked to be in our apartment by 6 p.m., I think. And so going out the next day after Sylvester, it was like a ghost town. There was fireworks trash everywhere. There was no one on the street because everyone had been up to 3 a.m. drinking and shooting off fireworks and things like that. So that wasn't the most productive day for missionary work, but that was just because we couldn't find anyone because they were all still sleeping. But so Sylvester is another big holiday that they do. But the biggest holiday in Germany is Christmas, Weihnachten. And they do it so well. It's big in America, but it's a different kind of big in Germany. It's more special there for some reason. And I don't really know why I say that it's more special in Germany, but it just is. It just is. So I was also in Kiel for Weihnachten, for Christmas. My favorite thing about Christmas in Germany were the Weihnachtsmärkte. So they have these Christmas markets that they set up in downtown, town square, basically. And they have booths and food trucks and all that kind of stuff. So people almost a little bit like a farmer's market, but in the winter. So people sell crafts that they do. They do a lot of woodworking. There's There's people who sell little trinkets, ornaments. There's tons of food to eat, and they have like music and lights and garland and all this stuff, and it goes up like pretty much like December 1st, and it's all the way till Christmas Day. And so I only got one Christmas in Germany, but all of my Christmas presents to my family that year came from the Weihnachtsmarkt in Kiel. But it was just really fun, and they celebrate for 3 days. So there's Heiliger Abend, which is Christmas Eve, or direct translation is Holy Evening. So that tends to be the more spiritual centered day, where, at least for members, that's when they usually they'll read the Christmas story, so the birth of Christ. Occasionally they will decorate or put specific decorations on their trees. In olden times, before they had electric lights, that's when they would light the candles on the trees, would be Heiliger Abend. And occasionally that's when they will open up some gifts too. Not all the time. Again, it depends on the families. So we as missionaries, in the city of Kiel, we had sister missionaries, and we had our zone leaders, and then we had a senior couple that ran the Ritz, which was the outreach center for the Yotais, the young single adults. And so we were all three companionships, we were at a family's apartment for Heiliger Abend. And I think they had 2 kids at the time, and they were young. But we read the Christmas story with them, and we sang songs. And that's another thing about Germans. They're very particular about this specific song. You only sing Silent Night on Christmas Eve. You don't sing it before, and you don't sing it after. You definitely don't sing it before Christmas Eve. So, Stille Nacht is what it's called in German. And it's kind of nice that they save it for Holy Evening, Heiliger Abend, that because it's the story about Christ and Mary and in the stables, and it's just a really sweet tradition that they do that I guess gives the song and the meaning and the story just a little bit more power and more significance. So that's day 1 of Christmas celebration. Day 2 is actually Christmas Day, and that's usually just spent with family. Like, you don't go anywhere, you don't do anything, you stay home, you spend time with your family, you open up presents. Us as missionaries, we get to call home, so that was really fun. And because we were again with the zone leaders, I passed the phone around when my mom was on it to my companion, and then the 2 zone leaders at the time, so she could talk to them and kind of meet them and stuff like that. So that was fun. And so we spent that Christmas Day with our bishop from the ward and his family. So we were kind of out in the country too, outside of the city of Kiel. And then I don't know if there's a special name for the 3rd day. If there was, I don't remember, or I never knew it. I don't know. But so December 26th is the 3rd day of celebration for Christmas. And it's usually like a wind down day. So you don't do presents or anything like that. Occasionally there will be like a soccer match on or whatever that they'll watch. But it's usually just a quiet day, nothing big, no fancy feasts or anything like that. But it's just like a day of reflection, I guess, before you start back into the work routine. And so I think we just had a dinner appointment that day with a family in the ward, just me and my companion. But it was really fun to have 3 days dedicated to Christmas. And it was just, you know, that special Christmas spirit you get around December, where people tend to be a little bit more compassionate, a little bit more giving, a little nicer. That's the case in Germany too, where people are just in better spirits because it's a special holiday. It's a special time of year. And whether you're religious or not, I think people still experience that during that time. So it was really cool to be able to have that experience in Germany, and to have another culture's to see another culture's touch on a beloved holiday.